Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Corey from Lion Dads. I'm back with another video for you. And before we get started, I want to remind you guys to go to www.lion-dads.com. And I want you to get your free guide on starting a carnivore diet. It's got everything you need in there to start losing weight on a carnivore diet right now. It's got everything up to and including a shopping list you can take to the store with you and get everything you need to start losing weight, get on your carnivore diet, start losing fat, building muscle, getting your body back in shape, take your health and fitness back into your own hands. Getting into the video today, we're kind of shifting gears off the carnivore diet stuff, getting more into the dad advice type stuff today. And I want to do a video. It's kind of ironic that I'm doing it today, and I'll explain why. But we're going to get into kind of rethinking sending your kids to college, basically, is what I'm kind of getting into. I think this is kind of an important video in this day and age, especially for some of you guys that are like me, where your kids are getting to like college age and are thinking about making that life choice for themselves and for their future, and what kind of the ROI is on that. So that's basically what I want to talk to. The reason I say it's kind of ironic is because my kid is on a college visit right now. I totally leave it up to my kids to make these decisions for themselves in their lives. I have 2 adult children now. One of them's technically legally an adult, but he's still a senior in high school. He's one on a college visit right now. The other one is 20, and he has done some college, but he, is decided it's not for him and is taking a different path in life through work and stuff. So kind of see how that goes for him. But the reason my younger one is on a college visit is because he plays football. He's an athlete. Football is his life. Football is, is something that he's good at and has given him some opportunity that, some kids just don't get. So that's why the college option is something that he's looking at, is because he has that opportunity to go and make it more, affordable and give him some opportunities beyond, just the education and stuff like that. So in his circumstance, and I'll get into that being, something that you can, look at when evaluating whether it's the right choice for you or not. But so that's kind of the situation we're in with him. He's deciding he wants to continue playing football and after high school ends, and he wants to go, and he's got the opportunity to do it at a few different colleges. So he's out making that decision right now over which one's the best for him. But what I want to kind of get into to this is it really 100% necessary in today's landscape? Kind of how college has changed since even like my parents were kids, or even since I was younger, you know what I mean? And how it wasn't the right choice for me at the time. And the path I took, I actually, did go to college much later in life, and I had, a different path to that. And I'll kind of get into that, why I thought it was a good idea for me and how that's kind of has paid off for me, and things like that. But let's talk about first the changing landscape of kind of what college is, what higher education is. I think there's becoming a different, and this is all industry focused, right? So if I speak to something and it doesn't apply, or you think it sounds crazy, you got to look at the industry and things like that. There's certain industries where it is absolutely 100% a necessity that you have to go to college. There's no way around it. In order to succeed in that field, you have to have a degree, to whatever, extent you're going to. And this is so, like, this whole topic is so fluctuating because, like, some of us, don't want to go all the way to the top. You know what I mean? We're content getting to a certain income level and a certain level of responsibility and kind of staying there in our industry. And then some people want to go all the way to, like, whether they're in like a CEO level type thing or whatever, and they need to acquire that piece of paper. You'll notice that I stopped short of saying acquiring skills, because I've learned a lot more from watching videos on YouTube in my field, in my industry, than I ever learned in college. And I'll get into that a little more too. But, you got to look at the, perception of it, like in certain industries. Is it necessary? Is it 100% required? In my industry, for certain levels, it's really not. And there's more value in certifications. I was in the, IT, cybersecurity type field. And while having a degree can be certainly valuable to a certain extent, there's a lot of weight put into certifications in that field versus going to having a college degree. And in fact, the higher degree you have, like if you want to get to like a certain level, it can actually hurt you more. Like I have a guy I work with who's got a doctorate in IT, and it's actually held him back. He doesn't even put it on his resume. It's just basically he went and got it. Just his parents are proud. He said it's the biggest ROI he got on it. Is it made his parents happy to have a kid they can call doctor. So think about that. Another thing you got to think about when looking at the landscape is the return of investment, because it is a hefty investment. And that is something that we've had to sit with my son, because the level of football he's going to go play is not going to make it to where it's 100% paid for. There's going to be a certain amount, but so as you get to like different levels of the college football landscape, like you got your D1s, like your big time schools that you see on Sunday or on Saturday on TV, your USCs, your Alabamas, your Notre Dames, guys like that, schools like that. They have a huge amount of full ride scholarships they can give out. They can get a lot of premium players put on their team that can go there for free and play at that level. And then you get down to the next level, your I think like Sam Houston State, Northern Colorado here, schools like that are like the next level down, South Dakota State, Montana, schools like that, that get less scholarships to offer. So they don't get quite as many premium players, and that's why they're at that next lower level. Then you get to like your D2 level. There's only like 30-something scholarships they can give out, and they kind of have to divvy those up, you know what I mean? And then, you get to some levels have 0 scholarship for sports, and then, and then there's another NAIA level. It's not affiliated with NCAA, and they do like the same as like a D2. It's like 20, 30 some scholarships they have to divide between kids. So you're getting a lot of kids at certain levels that just don't, they're going to have to foot some of the bill. And that's something he's had to look at. Now luckily, because he plays football and he gets some of that kind of money, he's not going to have to pay a premium price to go to college, so it makes it a little easier to make the decision to go get a degree, and you're not paying as much as like the other kids, you know what I mean? Still have to get like a student loan or whatever, or if he can work his way through, pay it out of pocket, whatever it is. But that's just something you got to think about. Like the cost of going to college has just become so bloated and so ridiculous and just out of control. Looked at some of the numbers for some of the colleges, you look at them, they're like, the numbers get staggering after a while. You look at their tuitions, like X amount, $20,000 a year, and then you got to throw housing on top of it, and then you got to throw a meal plan on top of it, and then you got to throw parking. I've seen schools that have like ridiculous parking, how much they cost if your kid's taking a car or something like that, and it's just all these little things. And then you get like, they don't even tell you about the textbooks. You don't find that out until you start going there. So I mean, like just the price of going to school, and that's if you like go to a state college where your education probably is going to be dog shit. Huge classrooms and professors that halfway don't care. Then you get to like the private schools, which my son's looking at a private school, and it's a little, smaller classrooms, a little better reviews education-wise and things like that. But that tuition, they get up to like, I've seen something like $60,000 a year just the tuition before the housing and all that. It's insane how much some of this shit costs. It's absolutely, like I said, it's staggering. So that's something you have to weigh when you're thinking about talking to your kid about going to college and thinking if that's a good thing for them to do or whatever. And then you got to think about like the industries and the job markets and things like that, and like how relevant these degrees are now how relevant they're going to be in X amount of years. I work in a, technology kind of field where what you learn today is going to be irrelevant next year. You know what I mean? The way things change, the way things get updated, the landscape, the cyber threats out there, things like that. The way technology advances, everything, you have to weigh that shit. You have to weigh, like, how relevant is what I'm learning in college today going to be next year, 5 years, 10 years? I talked to guys who got like an IT degree 20 years ago, and literally nothing holds up today. Literally nothing they learned. Nothing. It's nuts. It's crazy the way things have advanced, and things are just going at a rapid pace. So those are the things you have to weigh with your kids, and you got to sit and talk about, like, dude, is this, you know what I mean? Are you going to learn enough that it's really relevant, that it's really going to, hold up? And are you going to be able, like, I've heard people learning stuff their freshman year, and it's obsolete by the time they graduate 4 years later. They learn stuff their junior year, and it's obsolete when they graduate the next year. You know what I mean? Those are all things that you have to weigh and you have to think about. And there's so many bullshit, just nothing, real ridiculous degrees out there that kids are getting today. Just to say they got that piece of paper, they got that college degree, and they got a degree. I'm not going to say what most of them are, but they're all, these liberal arts degrees and things that are absolute just bullshit. Nothing. They're not hireable. You know what I mean? There's no skill, and they didn't learn anything, except, treat people nice or some shit. I don't know. But it's just, these are all things you have to weigh when you're thinking about sending your kid to a college. You got to think about the relevance, the return of investment, how much this shit's going to cost, how much you're going to be spending in student loans, how long is that going to take you for the rest of your life, because there's kids spending money on student loans for a long time. You know what I mean? They're basically paying interest forever. It's insane. So that's what you got to think about. You got to look at that ROI of different degrees. You got to look at the chosen field of study, your career goals, how they line up. Do you want to do that forever? That was another thing for me that I noticed when I got my degree. So going into that story, I joined the military, was not a college-ready student when I was graduated high school. Trust me, I was just lost and lazy, and I was a total bum. And decided, I'm going to join the military instead, get my job, get my steady paycheck going, and someday I'll do a video on whether you should send your kids in the military or not, and it's going to be a really fun one. But I'm not going to do that right now. But I was like, I was not ready to go to college, so I thought I'd join the military. Then your degree, at the time, it was changing for the Air Force from like 75% tuition covered to 100%. I was like, oh shit, yeah, cool. So I signed up for that, and then ended up putting the college thing off forever, because that's what lazy asses like me do, and ended up not getting my degree for another 15 years or whatever it was. But that was a part of the, I'm gonna go get my college paid for, like I was gonna go and do that. And so I wasn't ready for college, and then like years later, and it was starting to look like my career was going to end due to my health and things like that, which I've addressed in other videos and what got me started on a carnivore diet. But once it looked like that was going to happen, my career was about to end, I decided to get my ass in gear and start looking toward a degree. And I was like, well, okay, what's profitable that not necessarily, I didn't really care that I was interested in it. I was like, what's maximum profitability with longevity? That was what I looked at when it came time to choose my career. And IT was kind of a no-brainer. It's like, people are making tons of money on computer stuff, especially once you get into the cybersecurity field, like I kind of was always wanting to do. And then, it's not going anywhere. This industry is not, that industry's not going anywhere. I wasn't 100% interested in it. It wasn't like a burning desire and a life goal like it is for a lot of people. And you learn that when you get into that career field, there's a lot of people in it that it means a lot to them, and they don't often take kindly to it when you're not. You're just in it kind of for the paycheck. It kind of shows. And it's a thing you kind of have to deal with. I'm a different kind of guy than your average IT guy, and it's weird going into that industry and kind of not fitting in. But I got in it for the money, and was in it for a few years and realized I didn't make a mistake. I had great job security. I was making a great paycheck, but it's boring as shit. I found out how much of a people person this stuff, like doing the coaching, helping guys lose weight and stuff, love it. Best, helping you guys on your dad journeys and losing weight and making yourself the best man you can be, giving you advice with like this, doing this kind of stuff. This is my calling. This is what I am born to do, is interact with people, help, things like that. Doing techie shit is not me. That's not my thing, not my calling at all. You know what I mean? I can do it. I'm fine. I'm just plenty smart enough to do it. I can get the job done, but the care is just whatever. You know what I mean? So that's things you gotta weigh. You gotta weigh, like, is this, if I'm gonna do this job, like if I'm gonna get this degree and then get a job doing this, how into it am I? How much do I really care about this? You gotta think about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Am I willing to do this for the rest of my life? And then I think I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's been studies that say, like, so like my dad's generation, my dad sat in the same chair of work for like 30 years. You know what I mean? He sat at the same desk, same chair, did the same job for like 30 years, grinded through it, absolutely fucking hated it, but that's what men do, right? That's what he always said. And I was like, Dad, if you hate your job, oh my God, you're so like pissed off all the time and stressed. And so he's like, this is what we do, man. You got to feed the kids, you got to pay the bills. I'm going to do the work, put up with the same asshole boss, same dipshit coworkers, dealing with the same customers that piss me off and don't know shit, and the whole thing. He did it for 30 years, and my hat's off to him. I can't do it. You know what I mean? A lot of guys can't, but they're saying each generation, that you're more likely to hold a certain amount more jobs than, you know what I mean? Like, if he can't fathom, like, so when I got into the IT field, I started out, you got to start out at the beginning, you got to start at the lowest level sometimes and work your way up. And I did that fast. So I had like 1, 2, 3, I'm on like my 4th job since I got out of the Air Force, just from career progression. Some of it's with the same company, but by the time it was all said and done, I was on like my 4th job, and my dad's just like, I don't know how in the hell you can stand just changing jobs every 4 years on a whim. He's like, don't you just want to settle in, master something? I'm like, no, that's not the way we do it now. It's boring. It's, you level up, you level out, you gain more skills, and you want to put them to use. I get degrees, I get a master's degree and all that, and I want to use that shit. You know what I mean? And it's just the generations, and they're saying this new generation of kids, they're just going to like job bounce. And we'll see about that. I don't know. So basically that's something you got to think about, and there's other options too. You can look at like going to trade schools and things like that, and you got to look at other options, joining the workforce like my older kid has done, and he works for the school district right now. Things like that. You don't always have to just jump right in and go to college. And a great option for kids now is learning a trade, becoming an HVAC technician, becoming some kind of tradesman, which there's a lot of value in the trades now, because nobody wants to do those jobs anymore. So I think you might find a world where those jobs start paying more. And learning a trade, learning these new skills and stuff, and then making enough money where maybe you can pay your way through college, not have to rack yourself with student loans and do shit like that. That's, definitely an alternative option that, we discuss with the kids and things like that, depending on your life's journey. And like I said, you got to take the financial considerations into it. And if your kids play sports or they have a skill that might get them into, they play music or something like that, can get them less money, paying to go to college, paying less, maybe that isn't a good option for them. You know what I mean? That's certainly something that, my son's been lucky enough. He's worked really hard at it and, just has that, talent that he can go do that. And, some people have that, and that's a great thing to think about, like, leveraging those skills and those abilities and stuff. But think about those long-term financial ramifications. Think about other things. Think about possibly doing this getting on the internet, starting their own business instead, getting some certifications, which are really valuable depending on the field they go into. Like I said, if you're going to be a doctor, if you're going to be a lawyer, if you're going to be a school teacher, oh my God, why would you do that? But, my wife's a teacher, they don't get paid shit. But, if those are things you have to do, you have to get a degree for those, then by all means, if that's your calling, you got to do it. But, think about every option before you start saying, yeah, my kids are going to go to college. We just don't live in that world anymore. So I'm just implore you guys to think about it and talk about it with your families, with your kids. Steer them on making the right decision for now and for, 30, 40 years in their future, because you don't want to be paying student loans all the way up until you're old for going to college when you're 18. Making decisions when you're 18, 19, 20 years old that are going to affect you into your 30s and 40s in some cases. I hear about people just taking forever to pay off student loans and stuff like that. So that's all for now. Like I said, go to www.lion-dads.com. I flubbed that. And get that free PDF. Get started on a carnivore diet. Start losing weight. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Later.